Good afternoon. It's me. Um, I am a little bit sick, so pardon me, my voice is a little strange. And two, I had to take the day off of work because obviously I'm sick. And I wasn't sure when I should have posted this video, or when I should rather. But now that I have an opportunity, which is today, and I might as well. So today's video topic is going to be about the American education system, part three, and my opinion on psychology and ABA as a whole, right? So to start off with the American school system, what I wanted to talk about is a little bit more insight that I've a little bit more clarity, more information, more things that I remembered, right? Um, that schools are basically built like prisons, right? I think that's pretty obvious for everyone, right? They're built like prisons. You have your fences up, you have to I'll get to that part right now, right? They're built like prisons, like society, right? And another thing is that aside from being a prison, it basically prepares children to become another wage slave. Because what I notice is, my brother and sister, they used to be in high school, right? And during the pandemic, no school and all that stuff, right? And also what I've heard is that they're using laptops in schools now instead of actually doing stuff on paper, right? Like, why do the kid need a laptop, right? It's very reminiscent to what white collar workers do. They're on their laptop all day. The soul in their eyes are disappearing, right? And it's the same thing with college students too, right? I'll get to that part right now. So they have these kids in a closed space where they should, by the way, they should be going outside and explore the world, right? But that's just the way Americans are. Or I guess rather the United States of Israel is, right? Um, and what I've also noticed is that creativity is discouraged and obligation is reinforced. Um, from my experiences and the experiences of other people, what did school really teach you? They taught you to write essays, to write this and that, right? Or I guess make speeches or projects, right? None of which have nothing to do with creativity, in your opinion, mainly about factual stuff, or I guess what would be factual under our bribed scientific establishment and media, right? So we're supposed to be conforming and state the facts, not have any opinion pieces. We're like, oh, I see what the science says, the media says, they could be wrong. Or, just in general, having an essay of creativity or whatever they want to talk about, right? What if I want to talk about Star Wars, or I want to talk about why is the sky blue, or stuff like that? But essays mainly revolve around what's going on in the news, what is scientific, or I guess what's the topic of study for the semester, right? And that's just one way these kids are conditioned to conform. They're conditioned to obey. The same thing goes with using the restroom. Oh, can I use the restroom? Oh yeah, sure. Asking for permission, being obligant, being obedient rather to an authority figure. Um, by the way, that authority figure stuff starts in the school system with the teacher. We are meant to obey the authority figure and not question them. And those who do get punished simply for being curious. Be like, oh, teacher, I think you're wrong, this and that. I think this is stupid. Go to the principal's office. Truth seeking and independent thinking is discouraged. You have to conform. Otherwise, well, I guess you'll be a social outcast like homeless people. Um, yeah. Pardon me. And another thing I wanna bring up is children and um I guess my siblings, or from what they told me, they seem more happy, they seem more in the moment, they seem more lively in their eyes. The creativity is more drawn out. Well, not drawn out, but like expressed when they're in recess or in lunch. That's when they have time to be kids, to actually grow, compared versus to when they're in the classroom, they're all depressed, they're all low energy. Oh, why do I gotta do this? It's stupid, blah blah blah. Wait, I have to conform, otherwise my parents who've been conditioned to listen to authority and conditioned to be good guys are gonna get mad at me for trying to break out the system, right? And then if it doesn't get obvious during the K through 12 system, obviously in college it gets much more obvious. Um, Institution for higher education, you would assume that they would have came up with studies. Oh, we shouldn't be rushing these kids to learn something every semester. They should take their time. We shouldn't stack them up with work because none of that is going to process. You're just going to overload them, right? And that's stupid. For me, that's common sense. You overload, you put too much work. No one's gonna learn anything, right? No one's gonna learn anything. So the obvious conclusion is that they should have came out with a study decades ago that what, we shouldn't be doing this. If we want our kids to actually learn, to actually do more stuff for society, to contribute to society, we gotta make things more better, more manageable, right? But everything is working according to plan, according to what our corporate Zionist overlords want. All of that's working according to plan. Why? Why? Because, well, one, they're on their computers all day. They're all being trained to be a white collar, subordinate, obedient slaves, wage slaves, and debt slaves too, as a matter of fact, because they're not allowed to question authority that was conditioned to them from the K through 12 system. You cannot question this, or else it'll be social and I guess economic consequences, whatever, right? And in this stage of the education system, they're like, we're good guys. We need to listen to what the media says. The media's right. If we question, especially what happened in COVID, you're a lunatic, you're this and that, blah, 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 you're stupid, blah, 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 blah. Which, if you ask me, it's pretty obvious, it's pretty evident what happened in the pandemic, the pandemic, rather. Um, but yeah, it gets more obvious in college. They're expected to finish all this work at a very unreasonable deadline, mind you, to get compensated over a stupid grade at the end of the semester, or I guess at the end of the paycheck week by weekly schedule, right? And they're supposed to be okay with being overworked just for a stupid grade, over a stupid grade. And not to mention that a lot of these kids are getting in debt, not getting the education that they deserve. They're just being overworked, overloaded. And what kind of quality is that? What kind of quality is that? It's very poor quality. You compare that to Finland, where they don't have homework. The kids are doing just fine, right? But why is that a problem here? Because, like I said, corporate Zionist overlords, they want to turn this country into bunch of wage slaves, debt slaves, and we're going to be living in 1984. It's that simple. It's that simple. And another point I want to bring up. Yeah, you can say, oh, I mean, I guess a bachelor's isn't that bad. It's 4 years. The workload isn't too heavy. I know that, from my experience, right? Oh, the debt is repayable. Um, but yeah, what about the interest? What about if you can't find a job like everyone else? You may not be a wage slave, but you'll definitely be a debt slave, which is what they want at the end of the day. They want control. And another way that they're controlling everything is one, they're putting unknown chemicals, they're destroying the soil, the trees, the environment. So that way, if you ever did want to become independent, you can't even grow food out of the soil. Because why? They'll be in charge of manufacturing the food. And two, water. They're polluting, they're putting a lot of plastic in water, they're putting chemicals in the water, and not to mention, they're using water, millions of gallons, mind you, to help with AI not to overheat or something like that, something along those lines, right? So they don't want us to be independent. They don't want us to be off grid. They're fucking with the soil. They're fucking with the water supply and with the chemtrails that they claim aren't harmful. And with the smoke from factories and all of this polluting the air. They don't want us to breathe independently either. I feel like at one point, air is going to cost, just like the movie Lorax. Well, maybe not exactly like the Lorax, but something along the lines. They just don't release these movies unless they're trying to tell us something, which obviously they're trying to tell us something, right? And yeah, if you look at higher education, which would be like a master's PhD, that's the ultimate good boy level rank you could achieve. Not only do you get 2 to 5 years of bullshit, you being overloaded with this and that. Oh my god, I need to finish this before the quarter semester ends. Instead of saying, what the fuck is going on with you guys? If we're a first country and if we're advanced as you claim we are, why are we overloading ourselves? That's very unhealthy for the brain and for the body, for spirit too. But it's for a reason. They want to turn us into wage slaves, dead slaves. They want to take the soul and creativity out of your eyes, right? And out of your mind. And not and to top it off, within getting your master's, within getting your PhD, guess what happens? Not only are you overloaded with work, you have a massive pile of debt that you're never ever going to pay off anyways, right? And you'll be the best of Goy because you really didn't learn anything. You really don't learn anything. You just learn the theoretical stuff and then maybe some practicality of whatever field you're studying. Like, bye. And probably not even get hired anyways. Why? Because AI is taking over. That's one. They're the best of goys too, because they are dependent on the system that one day will fail us. They don't have any meaningful skills like, oh, could I filter my own water? Could I grow my own food? Could I defend myself if it came to it? Am I knowledgeable on monetary and currencies? Real economics, not that stock market garbage. Or am I able to barter in a crap hits the fan situation? Or can I do the basic maintenance on my car? None of that. or I guess any basic house care maintenance when I could do. No, because they want them all to be tied to the system. Oh, don't worry, the system will never fail. You just trust us, everything will be fine. Everyone does what they're supposed to do in society, and it'll be maintained. Maintained with what? With that misery and wages that aren't even enough to cover for living expenses, right? So that takes me to psychology. I feel like psychology ABA plays a role in this. Um, I'm gonna make a connection here. I'm gonna jump to a conclusion based on the little research I made on this topic. B.F. Skinner, which was a famous behavior analyst and atheist, was very interested in Judaism and spent some time of his life in Jerusalem in Israel. And I kind of find that very, very suspicious. Um, um, Anything that goes on there is automatically suspicious. It doesn't hit right, right? And a lot of the concepts that he revolutionized in the field of ABA psychology, right, are so simple, so stupid that they're so simple. What happens if you go up to a person that's bugging you? You're reinforcing that behavior because what do they want? They want attention. It's that simple. What do? You put that behavior on extinct. You just ignore and walk away. And we're meant to believe that these concepts, these complex concepts, are enough to make you a white collar genius to say, hey, you study behavior, you study what it is to be human, 4 years bachelor's, 6 years adding two with a master's, and then 5 more years, which is 11 years in total, on a degree on behavior. On behavior. I know behavior. You know behavior. We all know behavior. It's just a large portion of people, the soul, the creativity, the thinking part of their minds is gone. It's bye bye. Went away. Bye. So I come and think to myself, ABA is being used to control society. It's being used to carefully craft society into this 1948 style thing, society, conditioning people to be obedient, to obey authority, because that's basically what ABA does when done in practice. Oh, you're a client, right? Oh, okay. I'm the authority figure, and you're gonna obey me. We're gonna change your behavior. We're gonna turn you into a conformist, and we're gonna manipulate the stuff that you like into putting you into submission, into what we want you to achieve. We want you to conform to a behavior that is so socially acceptable, right? And then another thing with ABA, they say that, this is very revolutionary. You could change behavior, you could change people. That's the biggest flaw. You could change a behavior, but you can't change what someone truly is in here. You could conform them, but you can't change who they are right there unless they choose to let you do that, which majority of people do, because majority of our lives were meant to believe that authority figures they have the best interest for us when really they don't. The only highest authority figure that you could believe is in yourself, and obviously your parents, if they make sense to you as they grow old. But for the most part, it's just you. Um, and put ABA into practice, what does it imply? What does it imply? We look at society, what is going on right there? We're manipulating people through what reinforces them the most. For some, it could be social media. For some, it could be the movie theaters. For some, it could be lust. For some, it could be leave me alone. Negative reinforcement right there. Just leave me alone, right? And what happens when you use ABA to manipulate an entire group of people systematically? You use their vices, you use whatever they have, and obviously you use some modeling to get people into submission, right? Um, Social media. Oh, reinforces me. Oh, I see a rich guy getting rich. I want to do that. So I'm gonna start working more hours. I'm gonna be a grinder. I'm gonna grind the weekends so I could achieve that. When in reality, the only thing that you're achieving is being the wage slave that you are. You're not being creative, which is exactly what they want. You're not thinking outside the box, which is exactly what they want. And then, I guess you could say the same thing with girls. Oh, social media reinforces me to be perfect, blah, 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 blah. I should act in this certain way, this and that. And then, et cetera, et cetera. It meets whatever manipulation that society wants. Which would be, of course, telling the woman you have to be a wage slave too, which using feminism, of course, that equals breaking the nuclear family, hence unity, and of course, making everyone into wage slave. And like I mentioned, no thinking, no creativity, nothing, 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 nothing like that. Obedient to the system and not to your needs, or I guess the illusion of your needs are being met, but they're not actually being met. I make any sense. Um, but yeah, and starting out very young, that does seem to be the case too. Using escape negative reinforcement to get children to obey. Oh, do you want to get in trouble? Should I call your parents? Should I do this? Should I do that? No, I'm gonna do whatever you want, so that way you stop bugging me, right? And then we slowly get used to doing more for very less, 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 less. So conditioning, you're conditioning people to be okay with little reinforcement without them actually realizing it. And more, also part of it has to do with a psyop. You tell people, hey, keep doing this and it'll get better. It's what do we call it? Is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance also plays a role in this. Why? As an example, look, these guys are getting rich. Look, these guys are living a good life. Look, look at them. Look at Washington, D.C. They're doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's all those illusions are reinforcing in the mind that, hey, you know what? Maybe if I keep being a good boy, a wage slave, maybe I'll get there. But first, of course, I have to stop being a debt slave, pay off my debt that I'll never pay off, by the way, to a system that finds humanity expendable. Um, yeah. And another thing about psychology is I think psychology and ABA for the most part is a joke. It's a joke. Psychology. Oh, boo-hoo, you're a victim. Boo-hoo. Oh, you're minority. It's the white man's fault. Oh, systemic oppression, systemic racism, white privilege, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, 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 ooh. It encourages you to become a victim, to become a victim in a never-ending cycle which they want us to be in, by the way, to keep us all divided. That's another part, other than nuclear division of the nuclear family, is racial and well, obviously gender with the whole nuclear stuff. Racial division, racial ethnic division. That's another part of it. Oh, boo-hoo, you can't do anything. Well, the only thing you can do is come to a therapist, which they probably have an agenda, by the way. Just like some doctors, who pays off the doctors to shove pills down your throat? Big pharma, and obviously idiots at the top. And what would be any different here? Instead of messing you up physically, they're doing that to you mentally. An authority figure, which we're led to believe that we could be, what's the word, vulnerable with. What if they're actually manipulating us to think and act a certain way? Oh, boo hoo hoo. Yeah, you're right. I'm a victim. I should learn coping mechanisms so I could deal with it. Nothing is gonna change. Yes, everything can change. That's something psychology doesn't teach you. Psychology is a damn joke. Psychology is a damn joke. The only thing I would say actually works in psychology is teaching you the brain parts, what they're in charge of, and I guess the chemicals in your body, um, and the neurotransmitters, what does each chemical in your body does, and how much of it do you need, the balance of it, right? And I originally did think that ABA is useful, right? You want to help people who can't help themselves, but why does that have to come at the cost of making them obedient, another victim, obedient victim to a system that wants us all compliant? That's essentially what ABA is. And if you really think about it, if you really reflect on it, that was our entire school experience from start to end. And if you go to college, it's the same thing too. The only difference is, as we grow older, we're meant to be okay with little reinforcement, because the alternative is, well, consequences from authority figures, right? And we don't want that. Hence, which at the end of the day would also be like a negative reinforcement. I'm gonna do this so I don't have to get nagged. I don't have to go to jail. I don't have to do this because of this authority figure. Hence, which would be another reason why we're okay with less now, with less reinforcement, because of that negative reinforcement that we have, that we don't have to deal with these people. Just leave me alone as much as you can. I'm okay, right? And obviously, the conditioning to be obedient to authority, and like I said, being okay with little reinforcement as we grow up, conditioning that type of behavior as you grow up. So yeah, I would say, think about it, and maybe you'll notice that throughout your life, that's how it was. These people are using ABA to make you compliant, to make you conditioned, to make you obedient, conform to the system that we currently live in. The American school system, along with the combination of psychology, ABA, whatever, right, was the starting point, or I guess the main root of the problems that we have now. Well, yeah, there obviously there's other stuff, but everything begins with knowledge. Without knowledge, you can't really do much, right? You must learn, you must have the knowledge in order to obviously do something. So, I would say, yeah, that's the video. Um, I hope you guys have a good day, and hopefully I get better later.